I thought I'd do that every time. It could be my thing. Every time it starts, I go. Because I've just found a lot of time when people, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos and people are doing that little talking thing and they're not very professional, the amount of people when it starts, I go, and then they start. So I thought, well, why not? And I must have, it was the first thing that I thought I needed to do. So what I'm going to do here is, because it's amazing how exhausting this can make you, I'm going to do a serious bit now, and then I'm going to finish with some, which is probably a first for YouTube, some ad-lib, impromptu, vocal hardcore, which is inspired by my many years of singing dance songs to myself. Because you always listen to people doing songs to themselves, like, who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls? Who runs the world, girls? Who runs the world, girls? Who runs this mother, mother? Who runs this mother, mother? That was Who Runs the World, Girls by Beyonce. And funnily enough, actually, right, again, that's inspired me to say something. If anyone's seen If I Were a Boy, the video by Beyonce, you probably weren't looking for anything particularly interested in it, but there's a really weird dimensional shift in it, like literally, like the whole video. And I honestly really like this bit as like as a story, as an actual piece of film. The whole film or video is basically I can't even remember now, actually. It's either, I think it's her being all flirty with her male partners, and that's how it goes. No, it's the boy. It is the boy being really flirty, and then there's this weird, and she says to her, actually, I can work this out now. This is some real thought process live in action. It's who says what first. She says, he or she says, baby, when you act like that, I don't think you realise how it makes me feel. And that's a whole, subject in itself. Yeah, it is her. It's her being flirty with all the guys, because he says to her, baby, when you act like that, I don't think it makes you, I don't think you understand how that makes me feel. And she says, what? It's not like I'm sleeping with the guys. And then, right, there's this really weird, like, which is like the dimensions swapping over. And then there's quite a sinister, like, the guy, the boyfriend, who was the one being played before, goes, what? Damn, it's not like I'm sleeping with the girl. And then it's just like, it may have been the other way. I mean, maybe I even recorded this the other way around and the realities have split around. But that's, it really made a point, and it was a bit like, it's very well done, and it really makes you think. And that's a whole topic altogether. But you shouldn't, if your partner, Mrs. Girlfriend, fiance, wife, husband, is feeling that insecure, if he can say to you, I adore you, I want to be with you for the rest of my life, and you're making him or her feel that insecure, then obviously, regardless of the rules, something needs to be addressed. So yeah, so anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. What I wanted to talk about was, from my serious bit, was going back to ketamine, just because we'd already been talking about it, and ketamine was something, for me, probably one of the most, it sounds really, really sad, but in my entire life it's probably one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced for me as a person. And the fact that I've got to, like, not do it anymore because it's not good for me, for the rest of my life, when it was probably the one thing out of everything that makes me feel like I actually belong and everything is amazing. It's quite sad. But I am, and it's not good. I probably was like a fully committed ketamine addict for about 5 years while trying to hold down jobs and family matters and things like that, and relationships. But it's just brilliant, like I was saying earlier about Forrest Gump and Terminator 2. I watched an entire series of Transformers every week with my ketamine. And it all just feels so real and so amazing. I used to walk up to Clifton Bridge. I used to live in Redland, just off Gloucester Road. You could walk to Clifton in about 25 minutes, 20 minutes. And there's probably nothing I liked more than on a blue sky day, sniffing a load of K and walking up. And the thing, this is what gets me, is like, people are such a bad idea on drugs. And for me, if I ever did ketamine at a rave or whatever, 9 times out of 10, I'd always feel pretty disgusted with myself the next day and descend into a madness. What people seem to forget is that you can do drugs and stuff in positive situations. And I used to literally like do a shitload of ketamine, and I'd go and walk up to Clifton on a really nice and look at all the churches and look at all, and it literally, if you do K on a nice sunny day, it just makes everything HD. It makes everything epic and meaningful and realistic, high definition, happy. And I just used to wander around Clifton, go up to the suspension bridge, see all the. I used to love. I had the same walk every time. You see all the churches, all the different like really nice posh houses, and it was absolutely amazing. And I used to love it. And I used to stand there, and right on the edge of the suspension bridge, you can go up to this little grassy bit, which looks over the suspension bridge. If you're from Bristol, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And you could just see the whole of like Somerset. You could see all of Bristol city centre, Bedminster, all going up into Chew Valley, all the hills and everything. And absolutely fucked off my face, but so aware of everything around me and so beautiful and lapped up. And I think, if anything, as much as being sober and positive and achieving things is, I think you can get very narrow-minded and you don't take the time to just go, fucking hell, isn't life insane? And I know people can say, well, you know, if life's that insane and amazing, then you can soak it up when you're sober. But, you know, as someone who has spent a gazillion hours sober and spent a gazillion hours off my head, I don't think you do soak it up as much when you're sober. I'm not saying you don't enjoy yourself as much, and also it's especially people who have never done drugs, like mind-expanding drugs. I think, you know, speed and ecstasy and stuff is a bit of a different kettle of fish I'll talk about another time. And fair enough to them, but I think once you have experienced what things can feel and look like on a different level, I think it is very, very hard to appreciate life after that on a normal level. And there isn't anything from the government or any understanding to what, because there's been nothing done about it. They haven't, you know, just saying something's illegal isn't good enough. It's not fair, because most young people, or a lot of young people, experiment with drugs when they get that. And I was I was born in '83, so I was hitting drugs about, you know, late 1990s, something like that, early 2000s. And it's not like the government ever did anything at the time to stop people doing it. You know, you had SL2, Happy Mondays. I mean, you didn't even have to be into dance music. You could be into, you know, the kind of Stone Roses, Happy Mondays. They were all doing the pills, Bears, blah, blah, blah. The amount of people who've experimented in narcotics and drinking, the old acid, I mean, how can you go and see a film like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and read the book, which my dad had, the book in the shelf? How can I read that and then not want to try and get off my head? So I did. And it was amazing. And then you live this like 4 or 5 years constantly, where everything is just sparkly and amazing. And yeah, you have your hard times when you're coming down off them, or when you've got to deal with real life, somebody dies, or you've got something big at work you've got to deal with. But you always had that to get back to your fantasy heaven land. And then I don't know, I mean, this is only talking from my own experiences, but then you get to about 25 to 30, somewhere around that, and you suddenly realise, well, one, my body can't cope with it anymore, my mind can't cope with it anymore. I'm going to have to be sensible, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be sober from now on and sort my life out. And then everyone tells you, oh, when you get sober and sort your life out, everything becomes so magical because you don't have to rely on drugs anymore or drinking, and it's amazing having all this energy and everything. And it doesn't work out like that. It's just I don't know, because maybe it's my, inadequacy. But it's just a non-stop, everyday journey to not think about what it was like before. And now I feel like I have all the shit things that I used to have to deal with when I did used to do drugs. But at least before I could get off my head and then and forget about it all every so often. But now I have all the shit things, and then in between I just get to be sober and sensible and try and think about how I'm going to sort stuff as well. And I know this all sounds like just whining about not being able to get off my head anymore, but I'm just saying it's not. But for the government to just penalise you so much and not even vaguely understand, yeah, I smoked a spliff once in 1974. I just don't think, it's just not fair. And it's not just me. There's such a huge portion of society that feels this way. And it's hard. And then the final thing, because I know I've been going on a lot, which was my original point, was when I was, this is the sad part to me. I used to go to Christian school and whatnot, and I've always been relatively spiritual and believe everyone deserves a chance, and I've tried to be as good a person as I can. But I've never been really into God, etc. My nan was very, very big on God, and I've got a lot of respect for my nan, because my nan's one of my favourite persons ever. And she was huge on God, and there was never she'd never thought a selfish thought in her life. And I'm just going to stop this here now, actually, because I wouldn't mind renaming the next bit about my nan. Sorry, that's it.